The M1911, brainchild of John Moses Browning, and a war veteran in its own right. A handgun that not only can't seem to get away from the media spotlight, showcased in a wide range of video games, movies, shows, and more, but also hasn't missed a major conflict since its adoption year, now worn proudly and recognized simply by its namesake, 1911. Even the turn of the century and entrance into the 2000s couldn't push the legendary handgun out of the firearms zeitgeist. Instead, the platform saw modern improvements and success, especially in the civilian market, introducing the aptly named 2011 handguns into small arms nomenclature. There's no dispute, the M1911 was one of the foremost breakthroughs in small arms development and cemented its inventor's name in the history books of firearms engineering and gun enthusiasts alike. But it wasn't the first self-loading pistol to hit the scene, not even the first built by John Browning himself. So what made the M1911 so special that it left behind not just a legacy, but also a modernized successor? It's the early 1900s, and the Spanish-American War has escalated into the Philippine-American War, which in turn brought on the Moro Rebellion. American troops were now fighting guerrilla-style resistance, armed with their standard Colt M1892 revolver, chambered in .38 long Colt ammunition. While effective enough maybe in previous conflicts, the Moro Rebellion quickly revealed its shortcomings in stopping power. The Moro people had a long history of resisting foreign rule, and in battle they displayed extraordinary morale and ferocity. Perhaps even more troubling, the Moro fighters frequently used drugs to heavily subdue the sensation of pain. These factors created a highly aggressive opponent difficult to incapacitate, and the Americans' .38 long Colt chambered sidearm failed to reliably stop them. To compensate, soldiers were then reissued the older Colt single-action army, also known as the M1873, chambered in .45 Colt. Though largely retired by that point, it fired a heavier round that proved more effective in relation to stopping power. Conveniently, the Army already had stocks of the revolver on hand, avoiding new manufacturing contracts or delays. But reverting from a double-action sidearm to a single-action platform was a hindrance in of itself. Soldiers needed a modern sidearm that could fire a powerful round quickly and reliably. Reports of the .38 long Colt ammunition's poor performance did not go unnoticed. As a result, in 1904, the Thompson-Lagarde tests were conducted to evaluate the stopping power and performance of various handgun cartridges. Among those tested were the 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum, 9 by 19mm Parabellum, .38 long Colt, .38 ACP, .45 Colt, .476 Eli, and .455 Webley. These tests didn't pick a specific replacement, but they gave the Army the justification to demand a new self-loading service pistol chambered in no less than .45 caliber. In 1906, formal pistol trials were announced. 6 applicants were accepted for official testing the following year. Among them was the firearms manufacturing company Colt, presenting the Colt automatic pistol model 1905, designed by John Moses Browning and chambered in the new .45 ACP cartridge, which itself was another invention by John Browning. By 1907, less than 2 years after the cartridge's creation, 5 of the 6 trial entries were chambered in Browning's .45 ACP cartridge. The only exception was Webley, which stuck to their familiar .455 round, packed into an automatic compatible casing. Browning hadn't just submitted a pistol, he had set the standard before the trials had even begun. John Browning was not a mass manufacturer. At his core, he was an engineer and inventor. His business model was simple: design, patent, and then sell the rights to established manufacturers who could produce at scale. In the late 1800s, Browning worked primarily with Winchester, designing lever-action rifles. After a falling out, he shifted focus towards self-loading firearms. In this period, he partnered mostly with two companies: FN Herstal in Belgium, which gave him access to the European commercial market, and Colt in the United States, which opened the door to US military contracts. Together, Browning and Colt had already produced an impressive collection of successful firearms, quickly forging a close working relationship between the inventor and the manufacturing company. When the Thompson-Lagarde tests concluded in 1904 and made it clear that the Army wanted a .45 caliber sidearm, Browning and Colt wasted no time. In 1905, just a year later, Browning finalized both the .45 ACP cartridge and the Colt Model 1905 self-loading pistol, a notable predecessor to the M1911. Colt eagerly entered it into the upcoming Army trials. Testing began in 1907, and 4 of the 6 submissions were quickly dropped. The DWM P08 Luger prototype in .45 ACP was technically impressive, but the Germans had little interest in producing it in quantity for the US, so it was withdrawn. Webley's .455 entry was competent, but unremarkable, and the use of a non-standard foreign cartridge made it less appealing. The Bergmann-Bayard pistols suffered poor construction quality and frequent jams. And finally, the independent Noble prototype proved unreliable and lacked company backing for further development. That left 2 finalists: Browning's Colt design and Savage Arms' automatic pistol. For years, the Army tested both side by side, providing feedback and demanding revisions. Savage's pistol had advanced features, including a double-stacked magazine, but Colt's simpler Browning design adapted more easily to feedback. In 1910 to 1911, a final endurance trial sealed the outcome. While Colt's pistol fired 6,000 rounds without a single malfunction, Savage's entry required multiple stoppages, repairs, and part replacements just to finish the test. The verdict was clear. Browning's pistol was officially adopted as the US Army's model of 1911, and its timing couldn't have been better. The 20th century was saturated with US-involved conflicts, and the M1911 was there for nearly all of them. The sidearm served through World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and numerous Cold War operations. It wasn't until 1985, more than 70 years after its adoption, that the Army began replacing it with the Beretta M9. And while the 1911 gave way to the M9, the lineage is unmistakable. The M9, and most modern service pistols, rely on Browning's short recoil locked breech tilting barrel system, carrying forward the very mechanical breakthroughs Browning pioneered with the 1911. Even after replacement, the 1911 remained in use by specialized units. Meanwhile, in the civilian and competition markets, it thrived. Modernized 2011 designs brought double-stack magazines, optics support, and greater customization, ensuring Browning's legacy stayed relevant. The legacy continued even further in the likes of pop culture and media. With a slight concession to the Glock, the M1911 may be one of the most frequently depicted handguns throughout all corners of the entertainment scene, no doubt due to the pistol's 70-plus year career as an official military-issue sidearm. In other words, heavily saturating the public's default interpretation of what a pistol looks like. Every mainline Call of Duty title, for example, features the M1911, with only a few of the entries having a non-usable version, but still visibly present nonetheless. Whether it's the gritty war horror stage of World at War, or the advanced exo-soldier battlegrounds of Advanced Warfare, the franchise never struggled to make the M1911 fit right in. Perhaps even more demonstrative of the FPS franchise's love of the M1911 is the fan-favorite Zombies mode, in which the pistol quickly became familiar and beloved by fans due to commonly playing the role as the player's starter pistol. The name Mustang and Sally holds a special place in many Call of Duty fans as the M1911's upgraded alter ego, turning the standard sidearm into dual-wielding grenade launchers. The Far Cry games are yet another example out of many where the M1911 returns in most entries of the series, as a safe, consistent choice for a handgun to the player's arsenal. Of course, the M1911 didn't just play the role of the run-of-the-mill standard sidearm. Other popular game franchises feature notable depictions of the M1911 as a high-value or specialized weapon. The ever-so-popular Hitman series commonly depicts Agent 47 using chrome-finished and often silencer-equipped M1911 pistols, nicknamed the Silver Ballers. Browning's historical legacy and provenance as well was frequently portrayed through the M1911 in film. Peaky Blinders, an incredible crime drama known for its historically accurate depiction of the era between the end of the First World War and the beginning of World War II, gives the M1911 a good amount of screen time, even replacing the main protagonist's Webley Mark VI revolver halfway through the series. And that's not even mentioning the trove of war films set in World War II and Vietnam that couldn't get away from the sidearm even if they tried, due to the pistol's impressive and long military career. The M1911 truly is a weapon that can fit in almost anywhere. Its visual silhouette is widely recognizable, can play a role in almost any historically accurate war setting, and cleans up nicely when called upon for a more modern appearance. Browning's 1911 has become a star in its own right, a symbol of power, heritage, and style. A design that was already ahead of the game, solving the problem before it was even asked. A true story in the world of firearms development history, where stopping power meets staying power. Thank you all for watching. If you liked any of the 3D models you saw today and want them for yourself, head over to patreon.com/NARKdesign and become a curator for only $5 a month. Curators get access to a large and ever-growing library of 3D assets, including many of the weapons showcased in these videos. Curators also get a shout out at the end of every future video for financially supporting the channel. It means a lot, so big thank you to you guys. If you liked this style of video, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment on what you want to see next. And as always, this is NARKdesign. Thank you for watching.